Hi everyone! So in this vlog I wanted to talk a little bit about macronutrients. This is something I get asked about a lot with my clients. People want to know what they are, do we need them, and how much of them we need. So I thought I'd try and simplify that a little bit today. So our body needs fuel, and we can get this fuel from lots of different sources, but a lot of people talk about how many calories we need. So calories act as a fuel source for our body, and how many we need depends entirely on our body type and our activity levels and also our metabolism. So if you're leading a sedentary lifestyle, you spend a lot of time sat down, chances are you're going to need a lot less calories than someone who spends all day running around, lifting, carrying, moving things. So calories come from all different sources, and if we talk about three main sources, this is protein, fats and carbs. So these are our macronutrients, and we can sort of play around with the ratio of how much of each one we have depending on what we're trying to achieve with our body. So a little bit more about the difference between the three of these macronutrients. Both carbohydrates and proteins contain 4 calories per gram, whereas fats contain 9 calories per gram. So you can see why it's quite easy to consume a lot of calories through things that are high in fat. So another point is that just because a food source might be high in carbohydrates doesn't mean it doesn't contain fats and protein as well. I think a lot of people get confused and think that just because it contains protein it doesn't contain any other macronutrients. So if we take 10 grams of almonds for example, and they contain about 2 grams of protein and 2 grams of carbohydrates, whereas they contain about 5 grams of fat. So they have that sort of mixture, that combination of the different macronutrients. When we talk about calorie consumption, we can look at 3 different ways of how we're going to consume calories. And this is sort of more talking about the amounts. So if we want to be in a calorie deficit, this means that we're eating less calories than what we're going to burn. So this might be if you're trying to lose weight, reduce your body fat, and so that's a deficit. We can have an amount that's going to keep us at a maintenance level, so this is providing our body with enough to do our daily activities, and it's not going to change. And then we can be in a calorie surplus, so this is obviously going to be where we're eating more than what we require to go about our daily sort of business. But if a lot of people think that if you're in a calorie surplus, this is purely you're just going to put fat on, which can be true, but also if you're trying to gain muscle you would want to be in a calorie surplus because the body is going to need extra calories to be able to build the muscle. Okay, so the first macronutrient I want to talk about is protein. I think a lot of people just associate protein with bodybuilders and people who want to get massive and look really hench and strong. Well, actually protein is required for so many different functions within the body, and we can get it from a real wide variety of sources. It isn't just meat, because a lot of people do only think protein comes from meat. Well, actually there are a lot of vegetable and non-animal products that contain high levels of protein. When we're looking for protein, we want to try and make sure that we're providing our body with all 9 essential amino acids. So these are ones that our body can't actually produce on its own, so we have to get this from our food sources. So most animal products do contain all 9 of these amino acids, which is why they are a great source of protein. But if you're looking for these 9 amino acids from vegetable or plant-based protein sources, things like quinoa do contain all 9 of these amino acids, but if we're not eating something like quinoa, we need to get a nice mixture of these different amino acids. So that might mean pairing up different protein sources, different plant-based protein sources, so that we're getting a nice selection, and it's going to provide our body with those 9 amino acids. So our body needs protein for loads of different reasons, things like making our hair, teeth, skin, bones, everything like that going strong. It also provides us with the building blocks for our cardiac tissue, so our heart needs protein. All our different organs inside our body need it for repair and growth, and we use it for a vast sort of variety of functions. So yes, we do need it to build muscle. If you're trying to gain muscle, get leaner, yes, we do need protein for that, but it is really essential for just going about our day-to-day lives. So it is really vital that we try and provide our body with enough protein, and we're not just thinking like, oh god, don't want to eat too much protein because it's going to make me bulky. Well, it's not, unless you're eating copious amounts of it and doing the training to match it. So the next thing I'm going to talk about are carbohydrates. So carbohydrates provide our body with sort of the most digestible form of energy, and we can break them into two categories to make it a lot simpler. So we have complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. The simple ones provide our body with really fast energy. So this type of carbohydrate is really easily digested by our body. It's quickly broken down into sugars and therefore gives us a spike in energy. So when I'm talking about simple carbohydrates, I mean things like bananas, white bread, white pasta, things that are sometimes more refined are classed as simple carbohydrates, but also things that are more sugary. So these are the things that our body can use really quickly for energy for both our brain and our body. Complex carbohydrates take longer for our body to break down. These are things that are like whole grains, sweet potatoes, brown rice, oats. So yeah, they take longer for our body to break them down, which therefore releases energy slowly. So they do get made into sugar eventually and used for energy, but it takes a lot longer for our body to break them down, which is why when we're trying to keep our energy levels constant, looking to provide our body with complex carbohydrates is a great way of just sort of trickle feeding energy, because it's slowly sort of dripped into the bloodstream rather than giving us that huge spike in energy. A lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, think, right, I'm just going to cut carbohydrates out because I don't need them. Well, actually our body does need them for various different reasons. One of the main reasons is for digestion. So we find that a lot of carbohydrates contain high levels of fibre. This is really important for your gut and for your digestive health. So by cutting out carbohydrates, we're going to be depriving our body of really important fibre. It's also needed for the happy hormone, so for keeping us feeling good about ourselves. So you might see people that are on a low carb diet that are really grouchy, and there is actually scientific research that proves that having carbohydrates does improve your mood. So it's not all bad in there. Yes, if we're having too many carbohydrates, it does then get stored as fat because we've not used the energy. If you're having things that are spiking your energy levels and that sugar's getting released, but we're not actually doing an activity that requires it, then yeah, it's just going to get stored as fat, and therefore we will gain weight. But if you are doing things that require energy and you are being physically active all the time, then carbohydrates are very useful. But like I say, they are really important for things like your digestive health. So our third macronutrient that I'm going to talk about are fats. So there's a great myth that fats make you fat, and there's a lot of sort of debate around whether fats are good and fats are bad. So I'm going to try and sort of simplify it and hopefully give you a better idea of which ones are good, which ones are bad, and why we do need them. So fats are required for, again, many different functions, to give our hair that nice shine, make our skin nice and glowing, and helping with things like nail growth. They're sort of vital for those things, but actually inside our body we need them for absorbing lots of nutrients, so vitamins and minerals. So without having enough fat in our diet, even if we're eating all these vitamins and minerals, our body actually is unable to absorb them. It's also vital for maintaining health within your body around the cells. So cell membranes need good fats to be able to stay healthy. So again, I'm going to try and simplify the different types of fats. So we're going to start with trans fats. So these ones are generally classed as the bad guys because they have no health benefits. They bring nothing to the table. They're not going to give you anything that the other good fats give you, and they're actually classified as being detrimental to your health, and so they're only going to do bad things to your body. When you're trying to make it into a temple, we want to try and avoid filling it with trans fats. These trans fats are generally plant-based fats that have been processed, and they're used in products to help improve their shelf life, make them last longer. If you're looking on food labels to try and identify these trans fats, they're often labelled as hydrogenated fats, so this is the process that they've been through to make them into the trans fats, and they're actually going to make things last longer, but they're not going to do anything good for your body. If anything, they're going to help contribute towards causing other things like heart attacks, heart disease, and also increasing the bad cholesterol within our body. So places we can find trans fat, they're often found in really highly processed foods. So things like cakes, biscuits, pasties, things like that last for a weirdly long time, that if you made them yourself they really wouldn't last that long. Generally that's because they're packed with those trans fats. So yeah, try and avoid those ones if you can. So another type of fats we can move on to are saturated fats. Again, there's a lot of bad press around saturated fats, but recent research has shown that actually they're not all as bad as we thought they were. And they actually bring us a lot of nutrients and provide our body with great things, but we still do need to have them in moderation. As I was saying before, their fats still contain a lot of calories, so it's easy to end up eating quite a lot of calories in a small amount of fat. But saturated fats, yes, again, they are high in calories, but they do provide you with essential nutrients, and we can use them for different sort of types of cooking, and they will never change into trans fats. They can't become those bad fats because of their molecular structure, and they will never change. Saturated fats include things like butter, cheese, coconut oil, and they can all be used within our diet to help create this really sort of balanced overall picture. So our next type of fat would be unsaturated. So there's a couple of different types of unsaturated fats, but I'm going to keep it quite general. These ones help increase the good cholesterol within your body and actually provide you with loads of health benefits. Examples of these include things like olive oil, avocados, fish, and nuts. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about omega-3s because as a nation we don't consume enough omega-3, and it has so many health benefits. Omega-3s can be found in oily fish like salmon, but they can also be found in nuts, so like walnuts, they're a good source of omega-3s. They offer so many health benefits, so it's really important that we try and consume more of this in our diet. If you struggle to consume it, taking fish oil capsules are a great way of sort of increasing the amount of omega-3 you're getting in your diet. But they are great for heart health. They also help keep good levels of cholesterol nice and high and bad levels nice and low. They're a natural anti-inflammatory, so again good for the heart, but also good for things like joints and muscles. Another good point to raise about omega-3s is their cognitive benefits and sort of the mental health side of things. So there's actually been quite a lot of research done to show that they can help with things like anxiety, but also to help with preventing mental decline, so things like Alzheimer's. So trying to keep your diet high in these omega-3s is going to contribute towards slowing down those processes and even hopefully preventing them. Hopefully that's given you a good idea and a bit more information about what macronutrients are and why we need them. I've tried to cover as much as I can, but keep it simple enough so that we can all understand it, because it does all get very confusing when it comes to nutrition. In terms of how much you should be eating, that's entirely dependent on your body and your needs, as I said earlier. So if you would like more information on that, or feel free to research it, but if you would like a little bit more info or would like me to do another vlog on how much you should be eating and why, then please let me know. But I hope you found this one interesting.